Jim Carrey stands at the edge of Griffith Park in Los Angeles, and what he sees stops him cold. A kid, maybe 10 years old, sitting alone on a bench, face buried in his hands, shoulders shaking, crying. It's a Tuesday afternoon, March 12, 2018. Griffith Park, Los Angeles, California, 3:47 p.m. The park is full of people, joggers, dog walkers, families having picnics, kids playing on the playground 30 feet away. But this kid is alone, and nobody stops. Jim had been walking his usual trail, baseball cap pulled low, sunglasses on, trying to clear his head after a morning in the studio painting. He'd been walking for 20 minutes when he saw the bench. And the boy. But here's what nobody knew. What Jim was about to do for the next 90 minutes would be captured on phones by people who couldn't believe what they were witnessing. And what gets revealed about Jim's own childhood will make you understand why he couldn't just walk past that bench. Stay with us through this entire video, because what Jim said to that crying kid, what the parents discovered when they finally found their son, and the secret Jim had been carrying since he was 10 years old will hit you somewhere you weren't expecting. Let me tell you. Music. The boy's name was Daniel Cooper, 10 years old, 5th grade at Oakwood Elementary School in North Hollywood. He'd ridden his bike to the park after school, told his parents he was going to a friend's house. He lied. Because Daniel didn't have friends anymore. 3 months earlier, everything had changed. Daniel had worn glasses to school for the first time. The kids started calling him Four Eyes, then Nerd, then worse things. By week 2, they'd started pushing him in the hallway, knocking his books down, laughing when he picked them up. By month 2, nobody sat with him at lunch. Nobody picked him for teams in gym class. Nobody talked to him unless it was to make fun of him. That Tuesday, March 12th, had been the worst day yet. During recess, 3 boys cornered him by the basketball court. "Hey, Four Eyes, can you even see us?" one of them said. The others laughed. Daniel tried to walk away. One of them shoved him, hard. Daniel fell. His glasses flew off, landed on the concrete, cracked. The boys laughed and walked away, left him there, on the ground, glasses broken, face burning with shame. Daniel picked up his glasses. One lens was shattered. He couldn't see clearly anymore. Everything was blurry. He sat through the rest of the day squinting at the board. The teacher didn't notice, or didn't care. When the bell rang at 3:00 p.m., Daniel got on his bike and rode. He didn't know where he was going. He just rode, away from school, away from those kids, away from everything. He ended up at Griffith Park, found a bench far from the playground, sat down, and started crying. All the tears he'd been holding back for 3 months, all of it came out. That's when Jim Carrey walked past. Music. Jim saw the kid from about 20 feet away, small, alone, shaking with sobs. Broken glasses in his lap, and something in Jim's chest tightened. A memory, from 1972, from Newmarket, Ontario, from a playground where a skinny 10-year-old boy named Jim Carrey got shoved against a fence because his clothes were too big and his jokes were too weird. Jim stopped walking, watched for 30 seconds. Nobody was checking on this kid. People walking past like he was invisible, just like Jim had been invisible at 10, just like he'd sat alone and cried and nobody noticed. Jim made a decision. He walked straight to the bench and sat down. Not too close. Left space. Didn't say anything at first. Just sat there. Daniel looked up, saw a man in a baseball cap and sunglasses, looked away, tried to stop crying. Couldn't. "Rough day?" Jim said quietly. Daniel nodded, didn't look at him. "Yeah, I get those too." Jim paused. "I'm Jim." Daniel glanced over, squinted through his broken glasses, and his eyes went wide. You're Jim Carrey," Jim smiled. "That's the rumor. What are you doing here?" "Walking, thinking, saw you, thought maybe you could use some company." Jim leaned back on the bench, looked up at the sky. "You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Sometimes it's nice to just sit with someone, you know?" Daniel didn't say anything for a full minute, just sat there, crying quieter now. Then, "They broke my glasses." "Who did?" Jim asked, his voice gentle. "Kids at school. They always make fun of me. Today they pushed me and my glasses broke and now I can't see and my parents are going to be mad and I don't want to go back to school ever again." The words came out in a rush, like a dam breaking. Daniel started crying harder. "I hate school. I hate them. I hate everything." Jim didn't interrupt. just listened. When Daniel finished, Jim took off his sunglasses, looked at Daniel directly. "Can I tell you something?" Daniel nodded. "When I was exactly your age, 10 years old, kids used to beat me up, every day, because I was weird, because my family was poor, because I told jokes nobody thought were funny." Jim's voice was soft, real, no trace of the manic energy from the movies. "I used to hide in the bathroom during lunch so nobody would see me eating alone. I used to pray I'd get sick so I wouldn't have to go to school." Daniel stared at him. "Really? Really? And you know what the worst part was? I thought it was my fault. I thought something was wrong with me, that I deserved it. Did you? No, and neither do you." Music Jim spent the next 90 minutes on that bench with Daniel Cooper, just talking, sometimes laughing, sometimes quiet. He taught Daniel some of his faces, the eyebrow thing, the lip curl, the way to make your whole face go elastic. Daniel laughed so hard he snorted. First time he'd laughed in weeks. "See, your face can do anything you want it to do," Jim said. "Those kids, they're stuck. Stuck being mean because they don't know how to be anything else. But you can be whoever you want." Around 5 p.m., a car pulled up near the bench. A man and woman got out, panicked. "Daniel! Daniel, where have you been?" It was his parents, Rachel and Tom Cooper. They'd been looking for him for an hour, called the friend's house he was supposed to be at. He wasn't there, drove around the neighborhood, finally checked the park. Rachel ran to the bench, saw her son, saw Jim Carrey sitting next to him. Her mouth fell open. What? Mr. Carrey?" Tom was right behind her. "Daniel, we were so worried. Why didn't you come home? Why did you lie about where you were going?" Daniel's eyes filled with tears again. "I'm sorry. I couldn't go home. I couldn't face you with my broken glasses. I messed up. Again." Rachel knelt down, hugged her son. "Baby, we don't care about the glasses. We care about you. What happened?" "Kids at school pushed me. They always push me. They call me names. They hate me." Rachel and Tom looked at each other, shocked. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because I thought you'd think I was weak. Or a loser. Like they do." Jim stood up quietly, started to walk away. "Give the family space." But Tom called out, "Mr. Carrey, wait. How long have you been here with our son?" Jim checked his watch. "About 90 minutes, give or take." Rachel's eyes filled with tears. "You stayed with him? For 90 minutes? He needed someone to listen," Jim said simply. "And I remember what it's like when nobody does." Tom extended his hand. "Thank you. Truly. I don't know what to say." Jim shook it. Then he knelt down to Daniel's level, pulled a business card from his wallet, wrote something on the back, handed it to Daniel. "This is my manager's number. If those kids keep bothering you, have your parents call. We'll figure something out, okay?" Daniel nodded. "Okay. And Daniel, promise me something." "What?" "Promise me you'll keep making those faces, keep being weird, keep being exactly who you are. Because the world needs weird kids. The world needs kids who are different. That's where all the interesting people come from." Daniel smiled through his tears. "I promise." Jim stood up, waved to the family, and walked away into the park. Just another person on the trail. Except 3 people on that bench would never forget him. But wait. Here's where the story gets even more incredible. Music. The next morning, Rachel Cooper received a phone call, an unknown number. "Mrs. Cooper, this is calling from Jim Carrey's office. Mr. Carrey would like to help Daniel with something." Rachel's hands started shaking. "Help him? How?" "Mr. Carrey has arranged for Daniel to work with a therapist who specializes in childhood bullying, fully paid, as long as he needs it. He's also setting up a meeting with the school principal and a child psychologist to address the bullying situation directly, and he'd like to invite Daniel to visit a film set, show him that being different can lead to something amazing." Rachel couldn't speak, just cried. "There's one more thing," the voice on the phone said. "Mr. Carrey wanted this to remain completely anonymous, no publicity, no press. He just wanted to help. But we're calling to ask your permission for the therapy and school intervention." "Yes," Rachel said immediately. "Yes, please tell him." Tell him thank you. Tell him he saved my son." 2 weeks later, Daniel met with Dr. Sarah Chen, a child psychologist specializing in bullying trauma. They met twice a week. Daniel learned coping strategies, learned that being different wasn't being wrong, learned to see his sensitivity as strength. Jim also followed through on the school intervention. Through his foundation, Better You Foundation, he brought in anti-bullying specialists. They conducted workshops, trained teachers, created a peer support program. The 3 boys who'd been bullying Daniel were confronted, not punished harshly, but educated, made to understand the impact of their actions. 2 of them apologized to Daniel personally. The 3rd transferred schools. And the film set visit? That happened 3 months later, June 2018. Daniel and his parents visited the set of Jim's latest project. Jim spent 4 hours with Daniel, showed him how movies get made, introduced him to the crew, let him sit in the director's chair. "You see all these people?" Jim said, sweeping his arm across the set. Half of them were weird kids, bullied kids, kids who didn't fit in, and now they're making movies, making art, living their dreams. "You're going to be okay, Daniel. Better than okay." Daniel hugged him. "Thank you for sitting on that bench. Thank you for letting me," Jim said quietly. Years passed. 2019, 2020, 2021. Daniel thrived, the therapy helped, the bullying stopped. He joined the school's art club, found kids like him, weird kids, creative kids, kids who appreciated different. By 8th grade, Daniel was making short films, stop-motion animation, funny, strange, uniquely his. He posted them online. They went viral. 500,000 views, then 1 million. In 2022, Daniel was accepted to a prestigious film school, full scholarship. At 14 years old, he was the youngest student they'd ever admitted, and he never forgot the man who sat with him on a bench for 90 minutes when everyone else walked past. March 12, 2023, 5 years to the day after the bench, Daniel posted a video. "The day Jim Carrey saved my life." He told the whole story. The bullying, the broken glasses, the crying on the bench, the 90 minutes, the therapy, the film set, everything. "I was invisible," Daniel said to the camera. "And Jim Carrey saw me. Really saw me. He didn't have to stop, he didn't have to sit, he didn't have to care. But he did, and it changed everything." The video went viral, 10 million views in 72 hours. Comments flooded in. "Jim Carrey helped my family in 2009. Anonymous donor, found out years later it was him. He visited my sister in the hospital, spent 2 hours, never told anyone. Jim stopped when he saw me crying at a gas station. Talked to me for an hour. I was going to kill myself that night. He saved my life." Pattern emerged. Dozens of stories. Hundreds. Jim Carrey quietly helping people. Strangers. Kids. Anyone struggling. All anonymous. All private. Ellen DeGeneres invited Daniel on her show. "What would you say to Jim if he was watching?" Daniel looked at the camera. "Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. Thank you for teaching me that being different is what makes us beautiful." Jim was backstage, surprised Daniel by walking out. They hugged for a full minute. The audience stood and applauded. "You kept your promise," Jim said. "You kept being weird. And look at you now." Today, Daniel Cooper is 16 years old, award-winning young filmmaker, anti-bullying advocate. He speaks at schools, shares his story, shows kids that it gets better, and he carries a photo in his wallet. Jim Carrey sitting on a bench at Griffith Park, baseball cap, sunglasses, taken by someone in the park that day, the moment someone saw, the moment everything changed. If this story of compassion and seeing people moved you, drop a comment right now and tell us where you're watching from. New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai. We read every single one, and we love knowing our community spans the globe. And if this story touched something in you, hit that like button. It takes 1 second and helps this reach someone out there who's sitting alone right now, feeling invisible, needing to know someone sees them. Share this with one person, just one. Because that's exactly how kindness travels. One person, one moment, one bench at a time. Subscribe if you believe the world needs more people who stop and sit with crying kids in parks. Join a community that believes being different is beautiful. Now click the video on your screen because you need to hear what Jim Carrey did when he found a homeless veteran painting on the sidewalk at 3 a.m. We'll see you there.